And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah. There was something about two boys, and I have all this screenshotted. My messenger, I screenshotted it on my phone, and it's like, I was like, I don't think she was bullied. I think there was something with two guys. And she's like, yeah, she was messaging her friend about two guys, and I'm like, okay. And I sent her a picture of this cross upside down with the dot. I said, what does this mean to you? Mm-hmm. She didn't answer back, and I'm like, who drives a blue Cutlass 80s model with spoke wheels? My phone's about to die. Can you just, And so I call the girl who called me in the beginning, which was a tribal council member, and I was like, hey, who's Flute? I was like, as I wrote down Flute, she said, that's her boyfriend's name. I was like, okay. Wow. I said, who's left-handed? Who drives a blue Cutlass, spoke wheels? And I said, what is YXP123? Because the mom is not responding. She's like, oh my God. She goes, that's her fucking uncle. He has molestation charges pressed against him. He's not supposed to be around them. He drives a blue Cutlass, 80s model. And she said, YXP123 is the house number because they're in a Indian reservation.
Oh my God.
It's not irregular, whatever. And she's like, that, I'm going to have, this and that.
Cross she had.
And the cross, she carved that into the wrist before she hung herself. I was like, she didn't hang herself. Let me show you something on my phone. This is going to freak you out.
What's that? The uncle had a tattoo.
Yeah, the uncle had that tattoo.
The uncle did it
to show
so
that
she put it on her.
Because he did it to her.
So check this out. Let me show you this. You talk about how pictures talk to me. This is what I got from her screenshot, okay? First of all, this is her. This
you
girl
think she got bullied?
wasn't bullied. Okay.
She looks so happy.
And when I drew the Indian headdress on a female, this was her first profile. A year prior, this came up, okay? This is the most significant thing to me.
Wow.
Okay, so what I see in this,
I see a lot in that.
you're fixing to see a lot more. There is two guys, her in the middle, moonlight. There's a guy, here's the tree, they're fixing to hang her. You see that?
There's a tree.
And there's a guy here. So there was three.
Wow.
Guy, her in the middle holding her. This guy's gonna pull her up in the tree in the moonlight. It happened at 11 o'clock at night, full moon. And that was from what I got out of there. Now here is what I also drew, and I said, does this mean anything to you? And then I also asked her the red, white, red,
And
yellow.
Mm-hmm.
This is their tribal, like this is their
Their
logo,
symbol,
whatever you want
their-
to say, the
yeah.
symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So these are messages that I screenshotted on
It's
our
their
stuff.
meditation symbol to bring forth whatever it is in that
And
situation.
then I'll show you the rest of
or protection.
this whole thing, which is really crazy. That was the upside down cross that I drew, and I asked what it was. I zoomed in on that. Let me get to the actual. This is it. I said, what does this mean to you? She said there was something about two boys that she was messaging her friend about. The friend's mother screenshotted them to me. It's not the one that I want to show you. And she carved that. Oh, here it is. She cut that symbol into her wrist.
Oh my God.
So this is what I said, and that's when her mom freaked out because she said she cut that symbol into her wrist.
Right.
So I had drawn that 2 weeks
She
prior.
tattoo it or cut it?
Cut it, like
Cut it.
Okay.
carved it in with like a needle or a knife, whatever. And so I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, I got you. I was like, who's missing? So I had drawn this picture. I was like, who's missing? I was like, she's telling me somebody else is missing because we had figured out, we already knew.
I don't know if you've ever noticed, but that also has part of the symbol, the Native American symbol in that picture that you drew.
Look at that.
Oh,
Yeah. So you go from that
yeah.
To the
And then if you backtrack to the symbol, the Native American symbol, it's in there too.
Kind of looks like that. So this is Rose. Rose has been missing.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Rose is in a sacred area. Her feet are sticking out of the ground. I can see like a 50-yard circle where she is. And I'm telling my new assistant this. It was Kelly at the time. And if I was there, I could tell you where she's at. But I'm not there. I can only see where she is. I was like, she can hear people. I was like, but it's snowing. And so I'm messaging this tribal council. She said, yeah, they just called off the search because it's snowing too bad. And I'm like, I hear drums. And they were doing a ceremony for her. And I'm like, I'm, and she's like freaking out. Amazing how all this kind of came into place. But then my assistant the next day says, here, dog's on the phone. Tell him where she's at. I'm like, dog? Dog the bounty hunter. She called Dog the bounty hunter and said, hey, my boss knows where she's at. And I'm like, you know, he's like, hey, dude, what's going on? You know, just, I mean, straight up, just the way he is. And I'm like, well,
He's like,
She was still alive?
this is where, no, she's dead. I was like, Rose is dead. She is in, I don't remember exactly what time I said, but she's in this area. I said, you're going to find her with her feet sticking out of the ground. He's like, well, do you know her? I was like, no. And I was like, well, I just kind of have a gift. He goes, oh, so you're like a psychic or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not really that. I was like, but I don't know what I have right now. This is kind of what's going on. The next day they find her exactly where I told him. And so that was, you know, kind of the start of when you said Indian,
Yes.
that all came to this. And it created a landslide for us where it just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. But to
well,
be
and that's
able
great,
to,
but it was validation for you too,
Validation,
to
yes.
know that what you see and what you
That he's not crazy.
exactly.
And I think,
But also that you can, but also that with what you do, you can help others
Right.
because
I need to
how
figure out how to
long-
do that.
How long would that have gone on
Well,
for that
yeah.
family or for anything if these leads weren't brought
Right.
up?
And the little boy woke me up in the middle of the night. Mister, help me, Mister. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
fuck, okay. So I can see where the little boy's at. Like I can see across in the background. There's some like stone stuff. There was a little, and then so I wake up the next morning. And he's talking to me all night, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. You know, help me to help you. I knew he had already passed, but he wanted everybody to find him. And there was a little boy in Tennessee. It was Tennessee. And he went missing. And I was just scrolling my Facebook, and it was missing kid. And I'm like, okay, this is the boy that was here last night. He is here. So I called my sister, and I'm like, she goes, what'd you see last night? She's like, anyway. And I'm like, well, I saw this little kid. He came, he woke me up in the middle of the night, and blah, blah, blah. Well, she calls the sheriff's department and says, hey, my brother is psychic. I saw this little boy by a church, and he's by a rock thing. And I'll be damned if they didn't go find him that day.
Wow.
And it was in a different direction that they were looking. I said, he's going to be within a mile from his house. He went off chasing a dog and got lost. And he was just that little where he couldn't come back home.
Get back.
So
And nobody told him. Nobody. I mean,
He
it
was fine and
He
safe.
was.
No.
He wasn't.
He was dead.
Oh, he was
But
dead.
but he went because he wanted to play with his dog.
Oh my
And
God.
the dog took off, and he chased the dog, and the grandmother was watching him. Remember that?
That's right.
The grandmother was watching him, and she turned around. And he was
So
gone. They
what
couldn't find him.
what brought about your conversation with him?
The little boy, he woke me up in the middle of the night.
No, I mean with the person that you were letting this information known to.
We didn't.
My sister
His
did.
sister did.
She said my brother saw him over by this.
So you talked to your sister and said,
Yeah, she's
"Oh,
always
this."
hounded me
Yeah,
about.
and
Hey, what'd you see? Did you
she's
get
Miss
anything?
Drama. She's Miss Drama.
There's a lot of cool stuff that I see, and I have validation on my phone, and this is all the